might start barking.
Welcome to Eat Better, Feel Better. I'm Lisa Swable. Let's dive in. So today I'm really excited because I have got the gorgeous Maria Miliotis with me today. Hi, Maria. So I'm super excited to have Maria with me. We're going to chat all things fitness and nutrition in menopause and perimenopause. So hi, Maria.
Hello.
Hey, darling. Right. So I'm just going to say a little bit about you, give you a little intro.
Yeah.
So Maria Miliotis has been a personal trainer for 18 years, building up a community of like-minded women whom she trains regularly at gyms like David Lloyd, Nuffield Health, and Virgin Active. And in the last few years, from her own studio in Cockfosters, where she runs PT and small group training sessions.
That's
I've
right.
actually known Maria for around 15 years, and her passion for helping women in perimenopause and menopause to look their best, train hard, and feel strong has been a source of inspiration for me in my own training. It really has. So I'm really delighted that you're here. So
Oh,
Maria's,
thank you.
oh, thank you. So Maria's joining me on Eat Better, Feel Better, so we can have a good catch up, and I'm going to pick her brain for you on all things training and fitness for women over 45.
Right.
Yeah. So, Maria, why don't you start off just sharing a bit more about your background, how you got into training and fitness?
Okay, so from a very early age, I was always really sporty at school, netball team, athletics team. So I've always had that kind of sports element growing up
Don't,
as a child.
don't not
And
me.
obviously, sorry?
Don't not me. I was the last one
Uh,
picking everything.
Yeah, but the problem is when I got to my teens, 18, 19, it kind of took a back seat and I
Uh,
just enjoyed going out with my friends, partying, and you know how it is. So I
course.
kind of loved that element of exercising, but I was dancing a lot in those days. So yeah, so it's only in my late 20s, about 27, I got married and and then I just thought, you know what, I really miss training,
Mm,
tried a few classes and I was hooked. That was it. It became part of my lifestyle and I started training 3 to 5 times a week. In those days, it was like aerobic, step. And I think body pump literally just sort of
yeah.
began evolving. So I remember having a pump class and I kept thinking, do you know what, I could do this, I could do this. And it literally stemmed from there. I did this pump class, got hooked on body pump and thought, right, I'm going to qualify to do body pump as a hobby because I was an ex-banker before.
Okay.
I turned,
Quite different. For people that don't know, because I know body pump because I love it, and
yeah,
that's where I first met you. That's how you started training me.
yeah, yeah.
But explain what body pump is for people that might not know.
So basically, it's a barbell workout. You use literally a bar and plates throughout the whole class. So it's a resistance class, and it's to music. And basically, it's a good way of getting your weights in. If you're a little bit fearful of getting onto the gym floor and you don't know what you're doing, it's a really good introduction to weight training because you've got the instructor there coaching you, hopefully correcting your technique. So if you're a complete beginner with weights, you can really build strength and great technique with the right instructor. So it's perfect for people that don't really like the gym floor and need that extra push in class. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's brilliant.
And the songs are great on it. On all the releases. Always love the songs. They always get me
Yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah.
So you started doing becoming a pump instructor. That's how you started.
Yeah, it started as a hobby, to be honest, Lisa. I just got picked up a couple of classes locally, and then I just, you know, it just evolved. Like literally, I had my children then. I didn't want to travel to the city. I was really bored of banking. I'm a real people's person, so sitting behind a desk on a computer was just so not me. So I decided once I had my kids, I thought, you know what, I'm going to change my profession and did all my qualifications, built up my portfolio of things that I could teach
Mhm.
so that I'd be a bit more versatile and a little bit more in demand in the clubs. The more things you've got under your belt, the more the clubs will want you
Sure.
because you're a little bit more adaptable and versatile. And that's how it just kind of evolved, really, over the years with experience, word of mouth. clubs getting to know you're a reliable professional. You just ends up getting really busy teaching classes, and
Yeah,
it's a
brilliant.
really good job.
Great. Okay. And I think also it's fair to say that those sorts of classes really appeal, don't they, to women of our
Yeah,
age? You know,
definitely.
they really work for our age group, don't they? And for sort of perimenopause and menopause, because it's just like if
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're going to the gym for years and you want something a bit different, or like you say, you don't
yeah,
know what you're doing and you want a bit of guidance, those classes really work very
yeah,
well for that. So
yeah.
to take me to, I always like to hear with fitness instructors and people that are really into all their training, what is your routine like? What do you do to keep yourself
Oh
fit? Not in your
God.
lesson, but yourself.
Right.
Get
So
up.
my routine is a little bit regimental.
Okay.
I literally, I love to train. If I don't train, I just don't feel right. I don't feel
Yeah,
happy. I feel like my days are not productive. So I always start my day every day training, and that is roughly, God, it consists of 5, 6 sessions a week of strength training.
right.
Literally, I train
Wow.
with weights, with resistance 6 times a week. That is my priority. My strength training is literally, I love weights. And then obviously cardio, probably 4 or 5 times a week, but they're not like excessive. It's literally anything between 30 to 40 minutes of cardio,
Right.
um,
Okay.
4 or 5 times, and also walking. I walk every day. I've literally do about 15,000 steps a day. I don't
Oh
keep
my
still,
God.
Lisa.
I wish I hadn't asked now.
I'm literally by 8 o'clock, I'm on the sofa and I'm
I'm
knockout.
not surprised. Okay, well that is all really impressive, I've got to say.
Yeah, but it's part of my job.
Yeah, of
Obviously,
course.
my classes is part of my training. So I teach quite a few classes a week. So in those classes, I incorporate my own personal
Okay,
training
okay.
in
You're
there
not
as well
just
as my
always being at
class.
the top of the classes you're teaching. It might be
I'm
spread
teaching the
out.
classes and I'm training. I'm being selective, obviously mindful. I can't overdo it. So I
Yeah,
try and get my training in my classes so I don't have to do it separately from that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Oh, brilliant. I love that. That's fantastic. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're obviously very fit. And so I want to know, I've asked you to prepare for me your 5 top fitness and exercise tips for all us peri and menopausal women.
Yeah.
So you take it away. What's your number one, your first tip for us?
Well, for me, it has to be strength training.
Yeah.
Strength training has to be. There is no compromise. Like I tell all my ladies, if you was to choose one thing and one thing only, I would prioritize strength training. It's
So can
so,
you,
so
sorry.
important.
So can
Yeah,
you
go on.
explain? Obviously, I know what strength training is, but some people might not know exactly what you mean by that. So
Yeah.
what do you mean when you say strength training?
Strength training can be body weight exercises. It doesn't have to be equipment based. You can use your body weight to build basically muscle as well, using equipment, going to the gym, doing classes like body pump, basically building muscle mass. That is your foundation, and it's so important. I can't emphasize how important it is, even more so once you get into the perimenopause, because obviously you lose muscle as
Yeah.
you get older. It's so difficult to maintain it, and the only way you can is by resistance training, any form of resistance training.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know from the nutrition perspective, all the studies that I do, I'm very much about healthy aging and longevity. I want
Oh,
my members
100%.
and my clients to be the fittest 90-year-olds walking around, and
Yeah.
muscle mass is right up there as a massive indicator for how
It's
well.
so important because as you get older as well, it's just simple little things. It will help you be a little bit more mobile as you get older, getting up from a sofa, from a chair. If you're not, do you know what I mean? If you're not really active and not resistance training, your muscles, they're just not going to build and they're not going to, it's the foundation for you for longevity. That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
exactly that.
And from an aesthetic point of view, I think that women get a bit nervous of doing strength training and weights. They're scared they're going to get bulky.
Impossible.
Yeah,
Impossible.
and
It
that's
really is impossible.
we're trying to get bigger muscles, you and I, and then
Yeah,
we know how hard
yeah,
it
you'll
is.
just have muscle tone. It'll be muscle tone. You will never bulk, you know. You have to really train in a specific way. And even then, it's really, really hard for a woman to bulk up, you know.
Yeah.
So honestly, don't worry about that.
And it's really about having it when we talk about muscle mass as well, it's about having, because muscle is metabolically it's more active than fat, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it burns fats 100%.
And calories.
Yeah. So when women come to me all the time and oh, what am I doing? I'm getting putting on weight in my midriff and here and my back and my arms. And I'm like, resistance training, lift weights, you go to the gym, you know, use the cables. It's literally that's what it is, you know, and it will strip that fat. The more resistance training you do, the more fat burning. And that's it. Whereas people kind of think that cardiovascular exercises do that. It's not, it's the resistance training.
Yeah, and that I think leads us nicely onto your second tip, because
Yes.
I think your second tip was based on cardiovascular. So the
Yeah.
strength training would be your number one go-to
Number one,
priority.
that is like, it's no compromise. You have to resistance
Yeah.
train, and that's it.
So where does the cardiovascular side fit into that?
So the cardio is equally as important, only because as you go into the perimenopause and the menopause, obviously your estrogen declines
Yeah.
quite a lot. And when that happens, your heart suffers. It's harder for your blood to run through your vessels, which can actually help with, well, it can increase the risk of strokes, heart disease. So, like, it's so important also to really do some form of cardio, but it doesn't have to be excessive. I mean, it could be brisk walking, it could be swimming, it could be cycling, it could be just walking on a treadmill for 30 minutes at an incline. You know, there's so many ways of elevating your heart rate without pounding your joints. And I think that's really important, because a lot of women think they have to run, they have to jog, they have to, you know, and some women just can't. They haven't got that fitness. So there's lots of other ways that you can get your cardiovascular you know, your heart rate up and actually help your heart as well.
Yeah. I think as an indicator I always give to clients, I don't know if you agree, is I say, so look, you should be able to just about maintain some kind of conversation while you're doing
Yeah.
the exercise.
70% max heart rate, roughly. You
Yeah.
know, a nice stable rate, maybe into 80% of your max heart rate. And that's it. You don't have to be breathless, you know, it's just getting that the blood flowing and the heart pumping, you know, on a regular basis. And that's it.
Yeah, and actually, I think because I talk a lot in my membership about cortisol and how we have to manage our cortisol, because cortisol can lead to sort of that muffin top belly fat as well. If we've got too much cortisol from stress, it can drive a lot of inflammation in the body. So again, with cardiovascular, it's finding that sweet spot, isn't it, between
Yeah.
meaning to that you get that cardiovascular exercise and benefit,
Yeah.
but without spiking your cortisol too much that you're actually stressing the body out. It's kind of that sweet spot in between. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, there's still a real big problem with women thinking that they just do excessive cardio, and there really is no need. Listen, it's great if you get a buzz out of running and you
Mm.
know running on a treadmill, going on a stairmaster. That's fine, but you don't have to do it excessively. If you're going to do anything more, then it's strength training, and then your cardiovascular alongside as well.
And would you do those on the same day?
Yeah, I do. I do. I do. Not all days. I just do like, yeah, I do my weights first, followed by cardio, only because then I can lift heavier. If you do cardio first, you're not going to have the strength to possibly lift as much. So
Okay, it's a good tip. Yeah, so you don't want to pre-fatigue the muscles with the cardio.
do your weight resistance training and then do your cardio after.
Okay, great. And then what's your third fitness tip for my listeners?
Third, third is flexibility and balance.
Ah, okay. That's a big.
Yeah. So people are going to think, oh my goodness, how am I going to fit all this in? But you know, try to get a little program going on with a little bit of everything. That's what I say to my clients and members. Now, flexibility, things like yoga,
Hmm.
really good for stress relief, mental benefits as
Yeah.
well. um, Pilates for balance. Balance, people underestimate balance. It's so important as you get older to
Mm.
really work on things like agility, balance, like things that you take for granted, because as you get older, you're more, it's more risky because you can fall very easily, and then obviously your bones are not strong, so you can have fractures, really bad injuries if your balance isn't good. So if your reaction is good, then obviously you're going to be able to, like, if you trip or whatever, that balance that you've been working on, I don't know if you like reformer or Pilates, you do a lot of balance work. That's all going to benefit you as you
Yeah.
get older as well and into the
Yeah.
menopause. So
Yeah. I
that's
totally
that's a
agree.
really, that's one that people don't think of.
No, and actually you're right, because that I can't remember what the statistic is now, but definitely if somebody goes into hospital with a broken hip, or you know, when they come out, the risk of them dying in the following year after that
Yeah.
broken hip increases so much, because they start to become so immobile because of their hip, and then they stop moving, and
Yeah.
then they lose the muscle mass, and then they lose their appetite, and it's that
It's
slippery
just a
slope.
vicious, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
I agree with you. And in fact,
These
I
are just
also,
little blocks that you can do to improve as you go into the perimenopause, menopause, and they're really, really building blocks, really, for you
yeah,
to kind of age in a way where you're not gonna decline rapidly.
I agree. And I
That's the
always
only way I
find
can put
actually
it.
there are Pilates or yoga, that is my best hour of the week. It goes so quickly because
Yeah.
finish the class and then I realize I haven't thought about anything else for that whole hour, because I'm so concentrating on
Yeah,
not
yeah,
falling
yeah. It's
over.
a really good stress relief. It's a
Yeah,
really good
it
stress
really is.
release. So anything that's going to release stress, even if you go for like a lymphatic massage or any kind of massage, that's just going to relieve that stress that
Yeah,
your body's under stress. That's what it is. So
yeah,
whatever you can do to relieve that stress, I say go for it. And it makes you feel good.
brilliant. I love that tip. Yeah, definitely. And so what's your fourth tip for us?
Right. So the fourth tip has to be consistency.
Yes.
It has to be consistency. Whatever you're
True.
doing, any of the things that we've discussed so far, you have to try and be as consistent as possible. Now, I get it. I get it. It's really difficult because your hormones are all over the place. There's days where you get up, you're not motivated. I get those days. You're not really feeling it. However, what I say is, whenever you train, do you ever regret that workout? Even if it's like the worst workout
So
ever,
true.
do you
Yeah.
regret getting in your car or walking to the gym and doing whatever you did? 9 times out of 10, you're going to come out and you're going to feel 10 times better than when you first walked in.
Yeah.
So, what I
Agree.
say to my ladies is listen to your body. You don't have to go full throttle. You can adjust your workouts depending on your mood and how you're feeling. So less intense or more intense. And the days where you're not feeling it, just do something. And 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to regret it.
No,
And that's
I
it.
agree.
Just rock up and go.
Exactly. And I always think a bad workout's better than no workout. But
Yeah.
definitely I find once I get into, I'll be thinking like that, oh, I can't be bothered today. I'm not really in the mood. I'm not
Really hard,
to go
Lisa.
in. It is hard, but I put my headphones on, and actually within 5 minutes, you're in the zone, you're there, the dopamine starts coming,
Yeah.
a good, tune will come on, or I'll be listening to a really,
Yeah.
I was like, this
Yeah.
one,
So
and
what
I
you're saying
get
is,
going.
listen, your energy levels are not always up there.
Yeah,
They're like this constantly when you're going through the menopause. So I get it. And it's really easy just to not go, but try and push yourself to go and try and be consistent, because that's the way that you're going to really progress
yeah,
into it and hopefully come out of it good. Do you know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah, definitely. And I think that consistency is key with everything, isn't it? It's because
Yeah.
with our
definitely.
daily routine, with our food. You know,
Yeah,
it's that those little incremental consistencies make a real difference. Instead of just
yeah,
being, super on it one day a week and the other 6 days a week, not.
yeah,
You're better off being half on it every day and making those
yeah,
little progresses, definitely.
yeah,
And another thing I always, as a tip I give to people for consistency, is I always say set a lower limit as well as a target limit. So say your goal is to run 5K on the treadmill, but say you're not really feeling it that day, just set a limit. Say I'm going to run at least 1.5K. That's my lower limit. I'm going to do at least that, because invariably you'll find that once you get on that treadmill, you'll, like I say,
yeah,
the mood will
yeah,
hit.
yeah, yeah,
Doesn't. If you've done 1.5K, you can stop, but maybe you'll end
yeah.
up in 3K because you thought,
Yeah,
oh,
because a lot of the time you
yeah,
start those good endorphins start kicking in, and you're
yeah.
actually, I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to carry on. Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
And then you're buzzing even more because you've beaten this lower target
Yeah,
you set yourself. So it's not always about setting a really high target and then struggling to meet that goal. It is okay to be a bit kinder to yourself and set that
yeah,
lower level
yeah,
target as well. Say, I'm going to do
yeah,
it that. And then if you do anything more, it's a bonus.
yeah, definitely.
Oh, and what is your fifth tip?
Right. The last one is hydration.
Okay.
Hydration is so important. So many women I know do not drink enough water in the day.
And how many people
And we
tell
all
you
know,
they don't like the taste of plain water? I'm like, how can you not
yeah,
like the taste of plain water? I don't get
I
it.
know. But it's so important, especially in the perimenopause, because you're getting those bloody hot flashes. And it's like, you need to cool down.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is just drink water. Try and aim for 2 liters a day if you can. It's so important.
Yeah.
So important, because your body temperature is up and down throughout. So it's so important to be hydrated.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah, that's it
yeah, I
really.
love that.
Don't
And with
forget your
hydration,
water,
it's
girls.
important as well, because with our blood flow, talking about the hot flushes and all that,
Yeah,
our blood needs water to create that volume of blood and to get all those nutrients around
yeah,
the body, as well as cooling the body. So if you're not drinking enough water, if you don't have enough blood flow, you're not getting nutrients and oxygen around the body, you're not removing toxins and waste from the body. So, we really do need to keep hydrated. It is
yeah,
important. And I always try and think of, you know, really good cues to remind people to drink. So, for example, for me, I keep my water bottle in the car. So when I get stuck at traffic lights, I'll drink some water. When I'm
yeah,
sitting on the sofa, if there's like adverts on the TV, that will be my cue to drink some more water. Like just a few sips,
yeah,
like whole
yeah,
glasses.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just that consistent, few sips of water over the few hours of the day. It just,
Period of time.
yeah, it builds it up, and it's quite a good habit to get
Yeah,
into. If you wait till you're thirsty, you're actually already dehydrated slightly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love hydration. That's a really good point, and it obviously it works for you. You've got beautiful skin as well. Your skin's
Well, I try.
hydration.
I try.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. And so obviously for me, I focus a lot on nutrition in menopause.
Yeah,
So what do
yeah.
you do with your nutrition? Are there any specific things that you really follow from your food and diet?
Well, I try and eat as healthy as I can 80% of the time. And that's the truth. Listen, we're all human and we've all got cravings. And, I don't, I'm not one of these where I'm completely straight. I just think I train hard. I've got a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
And I just think if you're too restrictive, it's just going to undo what you're doing, because you're going to crave those things. So try to bring them in your diet. Things, I mean, I'll have crisps. I'll have the odd chocolate. I'm not going to lie. I'm human, but I try and get plain chocolate. But do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, of
if you're like, no,
course,
I
it's a
can't
bit of
have
what you
crisps, I can
fancy.
never have crisps, you're
Yeah,
just going to want them.
yeah,
So if you have them, have a couple of, crisps, it's not going to kill you.
yeah,
At the end of the day, you've got to live as well,
yes.
and generally, I try and live my life eating good whole foods, with the exception sometimes if I'm out and I want, I don't know, some chips with, oils and stuff, then I'll have them,
Yeah, yeah,
and that's it. And that's how I've always been, Lisa, to be honest. I'm not completely completely
Clean.
100%
Clean
clean,
eating.
put it that way.
But I think it's nice to think in that way, and to think more about what to include rather than what to exclude, because I
Yeah,
think, like you say, when you start excluding foods, it becomes a bit controlling and it becomes a bit
yeah,
obsessive as well. It's quite slippery
yeah,
slope. Whereas if you think about what you want to include and make sure you get it,
exactly.
you
What
end
you
up
want to prioritize.
yeah, exactly. And you end up crowding out a lot of the foods that you don't need anyway, because you're
Exactly.
full of all the food that you need to include. So obviously talking a lot about strength training, we need protein for that to support our muscles. Once we've done the strength training, we then need to rebuild those muscles, don't we? So it's having plenty
Yeah,
of protein. And then
yeah,
fiber, again, is so important. So making sure that our gut health is working and that we're fueling the body with
yeah,
nutrients that we need and all the cofactors we need. So I think for me, it's about making sure, as long as I've had my protein and my fiber, like you say,
yeah,
the odd treat.
exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
what I try and say to my clients and members is try and aim for like around about 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. Make that your priority,
Yeah,
then your fats, whatever that is, an avocado, whatever you want to put in there, and then the other quarter, whatever carbs. And but the chances are, if you have more protein more often, you're not going to want to binge eat. Do you know what I mean?
no,
Because you're going to be full, you're going to be sustained, you're going to feel not hungry, and and I try to tell them to kind of break it down 25, 30 grams per meal, 3, 4 times a day. And that way, obviously, being a nutritionist, your protein synthesis starts to activate. You're better off having little bits of protein throughout the day rather than one big meal with 40 grams, for instance.
yeah, I
So,
agree.
and that's try and be consistent with that. And I know it's quite difficult to get that protein in, but if you spread it out over little meals throughout the day, and they don't have to be big meals, it could be something like natural yogurt, blueberries, some nuts, some seeds. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Little meals like that, and that's you're halfway there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I talk about layering up protein a lot. So if you're having,
Yeah,
a chicken salad, can you add a bit of feta? Can you add some pumpkin seeds?
yeah,
Add some quinoa?
perfect.
Can you use a
Yeah,
whole, a high protein wrap if you're having a wrap instead
yeah,
of plain white wrap? So just, that concept, like layering up the protein and adding protein where you can and sneaking it in,
yeah,
not just about sitting there and eating, chicken and eggs every day, but actually getting that
yeah,
variety in of different sources. And, animal proteins and plant proteins, the body absorbs them and uses them in different ways. So
yeah,
nice to kind of play around with those different protein sources and
yeah.
lentils and beans and pulses. And I love edamame.
Yeah, you can get protein from so many different foods.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think we sometimes get so fixated on the chicken and eggs and not
Yeah,
having
yeah,
variety. Yeah, definitely. And
yeah,
it's boring. So it's nice to have sort of,
definitely.
yeah, definitely. So what's your go-to breakfast? Do you have a specific go-to breakfast that
Oh, right. Breakfast normally is, oh God, I love eggs. I'm addicted to eggs. So normally eggs and avocado, or sometimes a Greek yogurt. As I said, I just put blueberries, I put lots of seeds and nuts and honey and cinnamon. So I really flavor it up. And a bit of granola. It really depends. But mainly I have quite a lot of eggs so that scrambled, poached, omelets, anything with eggs, I just
yeah,
love.
very easy, aren't they? And it's quick. So
Yeah, it's quick, it's easy, you don't, yeah.
would you have that before or after training? When do you prefer to have your breakfast?
It really depends on my day, Lisa. If I've got really early classes, i.e. 8 a.m. classes, early morning ones, then I'll fast.
Right.
I'll fast and I'll eat after, which will be about midday.
Okay.
If they are a little bit later on and I've got, say, 3 classes back to back, I know I'm going to need energy. There's no way I can do a triple class with no fuel whatsoever. So then I'll eat. So it really depends on my day and kind of what I'm doing on that day.
Yes, the concept
If
there.
it's a slow start day, then obviously I'll fast because I do like to fast at least 16 hours a few times a week as well. So it really depends, but I only fast on the days where I know I don't need my energy as much in my classes and what I'm doing, the activities that I'm doing.
And where do you bring your carbs in? Is there a specific time of day that you think is good to have them, or you think it doesn't really matter? Which side of the fence are you on that one?
My personal preference would be mostly in the daytime.
Right.
Saying that, I mean, I'll still have the odd plate of maybe pasta or a jacket potato in the evening. Uh, but I prefer not to have that too late in the evening. So I normally have my dinners by about 6 o'clock,
Right.
6:30 the latest.
Mhm.
But yeah, I prefer to have carbs in the day, oats in the day. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
jacket
like the slow
potatoes. I
breathe,
love jacket potatoes.
the
Sweet
whole grain.
potatoes packed with tuna and all of that for lunch. I like to have those kind of meals just to keep me going because, again, it depends what I'm doing. I teach 3 nights a week as well. So obviously, I need to eat enough in the day to obviously, after train in the evening again, and then
Mm,
obviously have my dinner after my class, which sometimes could be 8 o'clock at night. So,
okay.
it depends. It really
Right.
depends on my day. But there's no strict, I know some people don't eat carbs at all, cut off 5 o'clock, or, I don't know. What's your views on that? I don't really agree with that.
Um, so for me, no, I don't agree with that. And I mean, I find some of my clients actually prefer to have their carbs in the evening because they like that feeling of having a filling evening
Oh,
meal. Because then I also encourage an overnight fast. I say around 14 hours overnight. So I just feel that some of them like to have that carb at dinner because
yeah,
it makes them feel satisfied and full before
yeah,
that fast. And also if they're busy at lunch, they may not want to have, may not need carbs. I don't, it just, yeah, I think it all depends. But I do say no more than 1/2 portions of starchy carbs a
yeah.
day. And
Oh,
then
yeah,
I see
100%.
carbs that are not going to spike their blood sugar. So whole grains,
Yeah,
lentils, baked potatoes, oats, like you say. So, 1 to 2 small portions a day.
yeah,
And I don't
yeah,
mind with my clients when they're having that to kind of fit in with them if it's going to help them to then do, if they're
yeah,
snacking a lot at night and we're trying to cut that out, then they can
yeah,
eat the carbs with their dinner because it fills them up and keeps them going. So yeah,
yeah,
depends on the situation.
yeah,
Yeah. And so that brings us nicely talking about dinner to recovery and sleep, which I know is also really important to you. And I love my,
yeah.
I'm a real.
Oh my God, I love my sleep. I can't wait to get in bed at night.
Oh, I know. When the husband says there's a football match on, do I mind if he watches the
I'm
football?
like,
I know
yes,
that's when I can go
bedtime.
to bed at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. But it's
Yeah.
so important, so important. I mean, if I don't get I don't know. If I don't get my 8 hours, I need minimum for me to function properly in my day, minimum 7 hours, maximum 8 hours. I need to really have 8 hours. And I
Yeah.
feel like I've had a really and the funny thing is I'm so regimental that I kind of stick to the same time. So generally my bedtime's 11 and I wake up at 7 or some
Brilliant.
days 6 o'clock. And that's it. And I literally lights off and I'm asleep, like I'm
Yeah.
knockout.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think sleep is so important, for our cognitive.
Routine, you need a routine.
Hormones love routine. So, and I think the people that sort of they might go to bed early in the week because they're getting up early for work and then they're lying in on the weekend and having late night. It's that kind of social jet lag, isn't it? Almost that by Monday
Yeah,
they've messed up all their hormones again for the new week. And
yeah,
that consistency, the hormones just love that because then everything can be
yeah,
regulated and it just helps
yeah.
levels so much if we're getting in.
100%.
Yeah, sleep
Yeah,
recovery.
definitely.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Oh, well, thank you for this lovely
Oh,
chat. I've really
you're
enjoyed
welcome. It's
it.
been fun.
So remind us, for people listening from my side, what's your Instagram handle if they want to find you on Instagram and see some of the
So
amazing
it's
exercises that you're doing?
M.M Fitness O2.
Brilliant. I will share
Yeah.
that on the podcast notes as well so that
Yeah.
anybody can
Yeah, great. That'll be great.
find you because
Come
you're
and
always
follow
sharing
me.
great
I've always got some
exercises.
health tips on there.
Definitely always inspires me to get in the gym. I'm looking and trying to think, oh God, she's done that exercise. I'm gonna have to try that one now. No, definitely. So thank you. And anybody listening, if you want to share your thoughts on our chat, what do you think about all the different training tips that Maria's shared with us? Then obviously it'd be lovely to hear from you. If you've enjoyed the show, give us a follow, please subscribe to the show. Let me know what you think, share it with your friends, and I will see you all next time. Thanks, Maria. Lovely to see
Thanks,
you.
Lisa. So nice to see you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.